Hello everyone! Welcome to our channel. Today, we're going to dive into a topic that I'm certain, if you're over 50 or already picturing life after leaving the hectic offices of Manhattan or the bustling streets of London, will strike right at your deepest fear. Retirement isn't the perfect postcard of European getaways or lazy afternoons in a Provençal garden that you once dreamed of. Sometimes it's a chilling void that leaves you wondering, did I spend my whole life trading for this? With more than 20 years advising hundreds of families in New York, Paris, and Berlin, I've seen plenty of people with million-dollar nest eggs sink into depression simply because they didn't know how to fill their days. So how do you make retirement not just financially secure, but genuinely meaningful, joyful, and deeply connected? That's exactly what we'll explore right now, and I promise, if you stick with me to the end, you'll walk away with a concrete life plan, not just to grow your wealth, but to make your golden years truly shine. Picture this. You wake up on a Monday morning in your Chicago apartment or a cozy house in the Amsterdam suburbs. No blaring alarm, no boss emails, number 8 a.m. meeting. At first, you smile. Freedom. But by day 3 or 4, a strange quiet starts creeping in. The wall clock ticks louder than ever. You fire up Netflix, scroll Instagram, call an old friend, but it's all just temporary filler. Then the big question grows, did I work 40 years to end up with this emptiness? That's the silent pain of millions of retirees across America and Europe. Not a lack of money, but a lack of purpose. And today, drawing from the experience of guiding families through this challenging transition, I'm going to share 8 living principles that the happiest retirees follow. Not to stay busy for the sake of it, but to live more deeply and meaningfully than ever before. Let's start with silence, because it's what most of us in big cities like London or San Francisco fear the most in retirement. We're wired for the rush, Zoom meetings, stacked deadlines, kid schedules, until silence feels like an enemy. But the happiest retirees don't flee silence, they embrace it like an old friend. I remember Robert, a former client of mine in New York, once a CFO at a major Wall Street bank. The moment he retired at 65, he bought an RV, joined a Florida golf club, and signed up for Spanish classes, just to avoid being home alone. Result: 6 months in, he was exhausted, his savings were draining fast on pricey trips, and he admitted he'd never felt so hollow. I suggested something simple. Every morning, spend 15 minutes by the window overlooking Central Park. No phone, no radio, just a mug of herbal tea and the sight of joggers. At first he squirmed. His mind still raced with stock tickers and old boardrooms. But gradually, he heard the sparrows, the rustle of autumn leaves, and most importantly, his own inner voice. He pulled out a leather journal and started writing. Not schedules, but childhood memories from Brooklyn, things he'd never told his wife. 3 months later, he told me it was the first time in his life he'd known true peace. And the best part? Once he learned to sit with silence, he stopped spending to escape himself. His investments started growing again, simply because he wasn't impulse buying distractions. From Robert's story, we see a vital truth. Retirement isn't about cramming your calendar with country club events. It's about slowing down and listening. But listening to what? To yourself, to what you truly crave, not what society in America or Europe says you should want. And that brings us to principle 2. The happiest retirees don't compare their lives to others on social media or at Paris dinner parties. Ever scroll Facebook and see a college friend posting from Italy, a former colleague flaunting a Tuscan vineyard, or a Berlin neighbor raving about tango classes? Then you wonder, should I be doing that to keep up? I had a client named Eleanor, who retired at 58 in Boston with a comfortable pension from Social Security and her 401k. But she fell into the comparison trap. Friends cruising the Caribbean, she booked a 5-star tour despite a tight budget. Others taking art classes in Florence. She signed up for oil painting though she had no passion. People donating to African children's funds. She gave even when it didn't feel right. Result: 2 years later, she was mentally and financially drained, cutting back on health care. Over coffee at a local cafe, she cried and said, "I don't know what I want anymore amid all these perfect pictures." I asked one simple question: if no one saw, no one liked it on Instagram, what would truly make you happy? She was quiet a long time, then said, I love baking my grandmother's raisin bread and giving it to neighbors. So she started. Every weekend, she baked, wrapped loaves in craft paper, walked them over, and chatted on porches about old times. No photos, no bragging, just doing what she loved. And magic happened. She rediscovered joy, got healthier from kitchen movement, and her neighbors became so close they volunteered to fix her roof. From then on, she stopped looking sideways. She lived her own life, and that's true financial freedom. But to live your own life amid societal pressures in big cities, you must face another shadow, regret. Here's Principle 3. The happiest retirees don't let the past imprison them in their Manhattan high-rises. I once advised James, an entrepreneur who built a tech company from a Silicon Valley garage but traded family time for it. Retiring at 62 to a California beach house, he sank into depression replaying missed Lake Tahoe summers with the kids, evenings he never came home early to his wife. He told me, I can buy a second home in Napa, but I can't buy back the gaps. I introduced what I now call the forgiveness ritual. Every night before bed, write one regret from the day, then add, I forgive myself, I did my best in the circumstances. At first, he laughed, calling it cheap therapy. But a month later, he changed. He started video calling his son in New York, not apologizing outright, just asking about work and inviting him for weekend dinners. He began walking Santa Monica beaches hand in hand with his wife like college sweethearts. And when he let go of regret, he started living in the present. He planted a balcony herb garden, learned to make fresh pesto for his grandkids, and for the first time in decades, laughed without reason over local wine. Harvard studies show self-forgiveness lowers cortisol, the stress hormone, improving heart health and sleep. So if you're carrying regrets from corporate grind days, start the ritual tonight from your Chicago or Madrid home. You deserve lightness to enjoy Medicare without worry. Speaking of health, here's Principle 4. No one can skip this, especially with U.S. medical costs hitting thousands yearly. The happiest retirees don't neglect their bodies, even with good insurance. I tell clients at London seminars, retirement savings only matter if you're fit enough to enjoy them in the Cotswolds Gardens. Recall Dr. Margaret, a renowned cardiac surgeon who retired at 65 in Houston. Pre-retirement, she worked 16-hour shifts, ate hospital vending machine food, barely moved outside the OR. Post-retirement, she thought she'd make up with Texas barbecue feasts and all-day HBO marathons. Result: 1 year in, 20 pounds heavier, high blood pressure, hospitalized for joint pain, tens of thousands in bills despite Medicare. Luckily, she met me at a senior community finance talk. I skipped Roth IRA talk and asked, do you want to live to 90 to see your grandkids graduate Harvard? She nodded. I gave a simple plan: 30-minute daily walks in the local park, 1 extra salad plate, cut 1 white bread serving. She laughed. That's it, no fancy gym? But she did it. 6 months later, she'd lost weight, joined a Houston morning walking group, made neighborhood friends, and slept drug-free for the first time ever. Lesson: health doesn't need Beverly Hills plastic surgery, just small, steady habits fitting American or European lifestyles. When you're healthy, you have energy for meaningful things instead of bedridden regret over medical bills. From physical health, we move to mental, and here's Principle 5. The happiest retirees never stop learning and creating, no matter their age in cultural hubs like Vienna or Seattle. Ever think retirement means total rest from books? Big mistake. Our brains need stimulation or they age faster, per the National Institute on Aging. I had a client, Hans, an engineer from Munich who retired at 60 to a Bavarian village. He told me, I dread my mind going dull like endless German drizzle. I suggested learning a completely new skill unrelated to coding. He chose the accordion, traditional folk instrument. At first, clumsy, keys hurt his fingers, but he stuck with online lessons. 3 months later, he played Edelweiss smoothly. He brought it to the local festival, performed for tourists, earned roaring applause. No more dull fears. He started a bilingual blog on his music journey, then free classes for village retirees. He told me, "I feel 30 again in Berlin." Science calls this neuroplasticity, brain rewiring, and it thrives on novelty at European community centers. So whether painting at a Paris atelier, making pasta in Rome, salsa dancing in Madrid, or memoir writing in New York, pick something that sparks curiosity and give it 15 minutes daily over morning coffee. You'll be amazed how young you feel, and your finances stay steadier with a sharp mind avoiding impulsive investments. Now, a principle many dodge in busy urban lives. The happiest retirees don't fear tough conversations, whether over Roman family dinners or transatlantic video calls. This is Principle 6, and I see it as the key to freeing your soul from emotional weight. Think of unsaid things, an apology to an Oxford college friend, thanks to a Sorbonne mentor, or your own end-of-life wishes on Care. I once helped a London family where the father, William, had terminal cancer. Before passing, he asked me to facilitate a talk with his daughter in Sydney. He said, "I never told her I'm proud, despite her success in Australia." We held a Zoom family evening. He held his wife's hand and told his daughter, "I'm proud of you, even if I never said it amid city work chaos." She cried. They hugged through the screen, first time in 10 years. William passed peacefully 2 weeks later in an NHS hospital. This reminds us, tough talks aren't burdens, they're the greatest gifts, preventing misunderstandings that affect financial legacies. So start today from your Toronto or Barcelona home. Email that misunderstood friend, FaceTime a long-lost relative, or sit with your kids to discuss inheritance and medical wishes. You'll feel astonishing relief, and relationships deepen, offering priceless support in retirement. From deep talks, we shift to something deceptively simple yet the strongest medicine for sometimes lonely retiree life in Florida or Costa Brava: laughter. Principle 7. The happiest retirees never forget to laugh, and they do it freely, at any age. I remember Clara, a 62-year-old retiree in Edinburgh. She was a strict public school teacher, rarely smiled, always the adult in Scottish mist. In retirement, she joined a community center laughter yoga class out of curiosity from friends. Then she was hooked. She laughed for no reason, over the neighbor's cat chasing falling leaves, spilling a spoon while cooking haggis. She told me, "I've laughed more in one retirement year than 30 teaching in Glasgow." Mayo Clinic science backs her. Laughter boosts immunity, lowers blood pressure, releases natural endorphins. So let yourself be silly in daily life. Watch Netflix comedy specials, tell jokes with friends at a Dublin pub, or laugh spilling coffee in your Paris kitchen. Life doesn't need constant seriousness, and laughter reminds you you're fully alive, cutting long-term medical costs. Finally, Principle 8, the one I want you to carry forever from New York to Athens. Retirement happiness doesn't come from doing more with cheap Ryanair flights, but from living more meaningfully with courage, forgiveness, and simple joy. Everything we've covered, from window silence overlooking the Thames to park laughter in Hyde, revolves around one core: how you choose to spend your precious remaining time post-office. I often advise Brussels seminar clients to create a meaning map for retirement. Take a sheet, divide into 4 quadrants: health, relationships, learning, contribution. In each, write one small weekly action fitting American or European life. Example: walk 3 times around Lake Geneva, call an old friend in Lisbon, learn a new skill 15 minutes daily via Duolingo, volunteer, whether reading to kids at a Boston library or picking litter in an Amsterdam park. With this map, you're never lost in long days. You have daily purpose, not grand like founding a charity, just heartfelt. Remember, retirement isn't your financial journey's end, but its most beautiful chapter, if you write it wisely from your working years. With these 8 principles, you don't just shield savings and investments from inflation or market swings. You multiply your life's value across diverse American and European cultures. And if you're worried about rising living costs in London or New York, Know a meaningful life usually costs less than a social media chasing one. Your money goes further when you know what truly makes you sustainably happy. Thank you for watching to the end. We'd love to hear from you. Drop a comment below sharing one thing you learned today and how you'll apply it in your life. Your thoughts matter deeply to us, so don't hesitate to share. Reading your comments gives us huge motivation and encouragement. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, please like, subscribe, and share. Your support helps us keep creating valuable content to inform and inspire you. Thanks for watching, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video.